Hi, everybody. I hope you're all well. We've got some new changes coming up next year in terms of our programming and planning and how we implement our curriculum. And they're really exciting changes coming along. So here I am here now to show you how we're going to be doing our new programming. So first things first, our Storypark curriculum planning guideline is this document here. It is on Dropbox and you can access it from any of the work computers that are logged into Dropbox. It basically spells out exactly what our cycle is, what our documents look like, how we fill them out, and what to do on a day-to-day basis, and also suggestions for what room leaders can do in the non-contact time at every week, really. So this you can find on Dropbox, and I'll attach it to the Storypark post as well. But let's get stuck right in. There's a lot to get through. So I'll go through each part of our planning cycle and show you what's different now. And then if you've got any questions, please let me know. Send me an email, or you can even put them in the comments below, and I'm sure other educators would like to hear responses too. So the first thing we're going to look at is a weekly curriculum plan. It's very similar to what we're currently doing, except as you may notice, we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and there's not like 5 rows for Monday, 5 rows for Tuesday. It's all condensed into the one row. You just write your multiple experiences into the same row and include your codes and dates as always, and then link your plans in there that support the extensions or the individual observation plans. Then you do a daily evaluation. So your daily evaluation is for the whole day. You don't need to reflect on every single activity, just the things that stood out and potentially the things that you want to be extending on. Link your outcomes as you usually would. And then in the last column, you're going to do your extension date and then the plan. Now, you don't have to, again, extend on every experience that you planned, but your extension must be relevant to the evaluation that you wrote. So in this evaluation, I wrote specifically about sensory activities and experiences with water painting and how they enjoyed that aspect of the day. And so I extended on those 2 particular experiences, and make sure obviously you write them into the next week's program, or if they're later on in the week, you go and add them into the correct day. You may notice that the photo column is completely gone from here. And that is because we are going to be doing our day books like we usually do. The only difference is that I'd like for you to include a little bit about the planned activities for the day. So for example, you have your date, the educators' names, the meals, a little spiel, a couple of sentences about what the children did for the day, and then all your pictures. So that's the weekly curriculum plan. The opportunities, outdoor opportunities across the bottom here used to be over here. We've moved it down here, and that's so that we can make sure that we're listing specific experiences and we still get an opportunity to evaluate over the week and add learning outcomes and a possible extension. Now, in terms of the evaluation, if you put something like an outdoor obstacle course here and you choose to set it up every day, you don't have to evaluate it every day. Just evaluate over the week. You might put in the date and then just give some progress notes, and then on Tuesday, you might add some more, and then on Friday, you might add some more, but just date each entry if you're going to add multiple entries. Note that I've put my name here. Educators are still forgetting to write their names on the end of the evaluation. So if you can please be mindful and remember to do that, that would be great. The next plan that we're going to look at is the individual observation plan. Now, this is staying exactly the same. I've literally just changed this part here to add in the term. So just when we're scrolling through and to make sure that the children have the adequate amount of observations per term, if we could just write the term and the date and then the educator's name. Now, bear in mind, the educator that puts their name over here is responsible for the photos, the observation, the question analysis and outcomes, and the plan, but isn't necessarily the one who implemented the activity, reflected on it, and then did an extension. So please put your name in here if you are going to do the active and experience that somebody else observed. That's really important. That shows that Bev and Mia worked together on this, and then Bev's done the activity again, and then Bria's had her input as well on Sophia's development. So it's really important to show that collaborative approach. The next plan that we'll look at is the observation tracking plan, very similar to, well, pretty much exactly the same as what we had before. I'd like to make a couple of requests, and that is that you keep the names in alphabetical order. I don't mind if it's by the first name or the last name, just some sort of alphabetical order. So when we're looking for a specific child, it's easy just to scroll through and find that child. And if a child leaves or transitions to the next room, please remove their plan from your tracker, because it's exhausting for myself, and I'm sure for yourselves and the educators in your room, to go through looking for names and seeing all the children that have left or are not coming anymore. Just remove them. The way you do that is you just clear what's in the cell. So edit and delete the cell until it's a gray box. Make sure all the boxes in that row are gray. And then on the left here, you have a drop down, just click it and go delete row, and it wipes the whole row out. And in the same way, if you need to add a child in between here, you just click on the drop down, add row above, and it will insert a new row for you, just much like in Excel or in Word. That's that for the observation tracking plan. The fortnightly reflection has changed quite a bit. The reason for this is you'll be extremely happy to know that we've removed the monthly critical reflections. The monthly critical reflections were really special to me because I feel like it provided us an opportunity to reflect on the principles, the practices, the theories, and the NQS areas. And without the monthly critical reflections, we lose the opportunity to reflect on those and learn about them and show how our planning and programming reflects the learning that the principles, practices, theories, and outcomes and NQS areas set out for us. So we've incorporated them into the fortnightly reflection plan. Now, quick run through. The first box here is just a tag of the last fortnight's reflection. In here, you'll put this week's program, and you would have two in there because it's a fortnightly reflection. You'll have two weekly curriculums in there, and the educators' names. A summary of the week. So not what went well, what didn't go well, because those belong in here, what went well and what needs improvement. Summary of the week is just the dynamic of the week. So say, for example, I've got here, we've been focusing on completing our end of year reports. We've been preparing for the Christmas party next week. We've been making our Christmas gifts. This week, 3 new Kindy 1 children have moved up into the room, and Mia was on holidays from Monday to Friday. So we just get a good idea of the background of what happened that week. Down here, we've got the family input that we included and any additional resources that we feel. This isn't necessarily toys. It could be professional development. It could be readings, articles, resources that you want to extend to families, or training that you think your educators need, or even shopping for your shopping list. And then here we've got which new interests emerge. This is really important because the information that you put in here is going to inform the following program. So really think about what kind of interest the children displayed in the past fortnight. Now, the next section is where you're going to do your principles, practice, theorists, national quality standards, and we've added the philosophy in here too. So what we want you to do is give a couple of sentences about how you've applied a certain practice or which practices you feel present in your room the most, and then just tag them. So in the same way that you tag learning outcomes, I've made a section or a learning set rather called principles, practices, theorists, national quality standards, and philosophy. So you just select the most appropriate ones. The next question is, did the team engage in reflective conversations? Anything that you've discussed or you really brainstormed about over the past fortnight, pop that in there. If you made any changes to your environment, it's not the entire environment. You might have just decided to change the configuration of your book corner so that you can maximize supervision. Write about it in here. And the last box here is just a reminder to link your learning areas into the learning areas checklist, which is what we'll look at next. Now, this is, of course, the room leader will go over this and make sure that it's all completed for the end of the fortnight, but all educators are expected to contribute, whether they physically go in and write things in here, if you do put your name in brackets, or just have these collaborative conversations so that the room leader can then go and type it up. But it is a responsibility of the room leader with the contributions of all the staff in the room. The next plan over is our learning areas checklist. So that reminder down here is just to make sure that every week at the end of your week, whenever you have your non-contact time, and any educator can do this, go through and just flag your weekly curriculum plan in any of the developmental learning areas that you think are appropriate. So for example, language and literacy, flag it there, and then next week's program, somebody else might think, oh, that program, this week's program, we did mathematical concepts, we did community events, so we'll put it in there and in here. Ideally, we'd like to have the minimum of at least 1 in each of the columns for the January, so we can show we covered everything in January. But it would be amazing to see 4 in there, 4 in there, 4 in there, 4 in there, just to show that we're doing it every week or more than just once a month. In this program, in, let's say, multicultural Australian culture, you might only have one plan in there, but you have 6 different activities in there because it's NAIDOC week. So it's not to say that if you only have one in there, you only did one activity. It's just to say this is where you'll find the activities where we covered multicultural and Australian culture for that month. I hope that makes sense to everybody. There's a couple of things that I need the room leaders to do and to take responsibility for, and that includes making all new individual observation plans for the children for 2022. Tag the previous ones in the new one in the top corner somewhere. And don't forget to tag the child in the new plan and share it with their family. I'm still finding plans for children from years ago that still don't have the child tagged in them. And if the child's not tagged in them, that means that the families cannot see that observation plan. Even if you shared with families, there's no child tagged in there, so they can't see anything. It's really important to do that step. Make a new observation tracker for your room and make a new learning areas checklist for your room. So these are the 3 main things. This one might take you a little bit longer, making sure that you're tagging the old one in the new one, but it'll all fall into place for us once it's set up. The observation tracking plan, you don't need to tag the child in here. You just need to write their name. If you tag the child in here, it won't let you do anything else like link the observation plan. So make sure you just type out the child's name and put the observation plan in there. If a child is leaving or updating the days they're coming full-time, or they were full-time and they've dropped down to part-time, make sure you update this so that I can see that, you know, if that says part-time, that's why there's 1 in there. But if that says full-time, there's only 1 in there and the child's dropped days, I wouldn't know that. So make sure you're keeping that up to date for yourself and for the educators in your room, so they can just open it up and say, oh, what, this child's full-time, but they've only got 1, so that means they need another one. Let's have a look at what they're doing today. If you've got any questions about any of this, please give me a shout. I'm here to help with anything you need. You can email me, you can call me, or you can send me a note on Facebook. I'm happy, Facebook, or even on a conversation on StoryPod. I hope you enjoyed this new style of programming. It's been done based on the feedback that we've received during the JOT form and conversations with educators, and trying to really listen to and hear what you have to say regarding our curriculum and maximize on opportunities to spend time with the children and away from the iPads as such. Thanks for watching. And again, let me know if you've got any questions. Thanks.